Work your magic on this one.
Are we rolling?
Yeah.
Ready? This is question where we answer some questions that I've never seen them before. So, just wondered what advice. Know whether the guy who works likes me. Be careful, because that's what they do really good coffee. Very shy, but he recently, I think, Superman. Serious. Time I saw him, as in Clark Kent, and smiled at the floor. Eric, would you? That's the fact that she's calling him not Clark. Hard to immediately shy. His self-esteem is not going to. I look like Superman. Explained why I'd called. He said, "It's okay, Christopher Reeve, you mean?" Yes. Well, actors, they're all hot. Again, he laughed and looked down. Any to read this, say hi, but it's so thanks. You're always looking. He shows you, and usually interest someone trying. And I walked past these. She looked at me. She was, oh. But she hadn't, it's not like she'd bumped into me. In my head, I sort of went, maybe sort of her way of saying, but you never know. One thing present a pattern, it's just read into it, but it's sometimes difficult. 30 seconds down the street, car, and then by the time I'd open the caught up to me. And, oh, don't worry, we're not stalking. I thought, they're, because she didn't need to, she chose to go out of her way to speak like, now, Jameson, so what did you do out or whatever? You don't get, because this isn't about me. How do I know if he's attractive? You look at the pattern of, don't just look at one thing, because he's not really, he's sort of boring, really have many things to say, and so he just looks down as he does like you and he's shy. Like push it just a little in order to see what come in the form of trying to have. Can you hear, do you think they'll hear screaming? Not the next door neighbors, but like kids screaming to him and be like, hey, you want to just see where it... I think we carry on. So what you want to do is take little risks to see. It might be that across the room and give him a bit of eye contact back to you. You might find when you go in there, he goes out to you. You might into. So if you just say to him, oh, you think I'm amazing. I just saw that movie. Moments where you do a you normally would. Just if he responds. It's a sign of whether he's incapable reciprocating because that he can't do anything. That may not, you know this, I'm all in favor of making, doesn't have to do everything. That's a different story. But to be like, because I want a guy who can step up. He's either so incapable that he's not interested. I think you now know, okay, he hasn't responded. That's pretty good. Of someone's behavior. Don't try particular action, because that's really dangerous. So obviously the psychology we've talked and look at the pattern of people's behavior. How to have all of these things that my program, all you need to do to find out about that is .com. Hello everyone, I am Matthew Hussey, the author of the brand new book, Love Life, which became a New York Times bestseller a few weeks ago. I'm also a coach specializing in confidence and relational intelligence, who for the last 17 years has been helping people find the healthy love that they want. So today's video is based on a question I got from one of my Love Life members. If you don't know, I have a year-round program where I coach people who want to find love. If you want to make me your coach officially, then I'll leave a link below for you to check that out. It is lovelifeclub.com. But this particular Love Life member asked me about obsession in early dating. What can you do if whenever you meet someone you like, you immediately become obsessed, get too carried away, and then risk ruining the whole thing, either the enjoyment of it because you just feel anxious all the time, or actually sabotaging it by being the person that we become when we get obsessed. So let's talk about this. Why do we get obsessed in early dating? And what are the 5 things that you can know today that will help you the next time you find yourself in this situation? By the way, it would mean a lot to me if you would like this video, subscribe to this channel, and hit the notification bell so that the next time I make a video, you get notified and you don't discover it 3 months later and think to yourself, I really could have used this video back then. So let's talk about this idea of obsession in early dating. What are the 5 things that you need to know? Number 1, identify the feeling that you have. When we're out there meeting someone, falling for them very quickly, and then very quickly becoming anxious about the fact that they're not texting us or worried that they may not like us as much as we like them, is very tempting to think of this as being a sign of how important this person is. a sign of how much our happiness resides with this person and the possibility that they end up choosing us as their partner. What this feeling actually is anxiety. And it's important that we label it as anxiety. This is a form of anxious rumination. I really like them, they don't like me as much as I like them. And if they don't like me as much as I like them, my whole life is going to get worse. I'm going to be heartbroken. I'm never going to get over it. They're not texting me right now. Oh no, this person that holds the keys to my happiness doesn't want me back. I'm about to lose someone who is right for me. We have these thoughts, and they are not an indication of how valuable this person is. They are an indication of the intensity of an anxiety that likely long predated this person. And you can do a test on that. Is this the first person you've ever felt this anxiety with? Or is the anxiety a constant in your life? If it is, good news, it's not that this person is the most important person in the world. It's that you are coming to the table with a pre-existing level of anxious attachment. Now that we've identified that feeling as anxiety, let's get to point number 2. That anxiety will follow you anywhere you go. It will follow you to a different person in the future. So if you move on from this person and you feel good again afterwards, after, weeks or months of feeling heartbroken that this didn't work out, that anxiety won't have gone away. It will just be dormant, lying in wait for the next person. When the next person comes along, if you decide you like that person, the anxiety reappears. And it's not just true that that anxiety will transfer to the next person. It's also true that that anxiety will follow you into every stage of the relationship with this person if it actually works out. Think about it this way. When we're single, the anxiety is I'm never going to meet anyone. When we meet someone, the anxiety is they don't like me as much as I like them, or they're not texting me right now, and that's bad news. If it turns into an actual relationship, our anxiety is now around losing this person. They're gonna find someone else, that the next time they walk into a coffee shop and see someone who's objectively more attractive than me, they're gonna leave me for that person. And even if you feel completely safe with this person, like they're never gonna leave me for another person, even if they manage to get you to trust on that level, the anxiety transfers to, what if they die? So the anxiety never really goes away. It just keeps finding a new home, a new target. Now that can feel quite defeating in a sense, to feel like, oh my God, I'm never going to be rid of this anxiety. We can, of course, start to mitigate that anxiety. We can turn it around, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But far from being this horrible conclusion that the anxiety is going to follow me everywhere, it can actually start to be this wonderful way of getting perspective. In other words, anytime our anxiety finds a target, knowing the anxiety is the constant, not the target, we realize that the target of our anxiety, the thing we're convincing ourselves in the moment is the root cause of our anxiety, is not nearly as important as we're making it, and may not be important at all. Once you realize that when this target goes away, my anxiety will just find a new one, there's no target that feels that important anymore. It just feels like this long and almost farcical cycle of hopping from one thing to the next, and every time telling ourselves a story that the thing I'm focused on now is the most important thing in the world to be worried about. And when there's no longer that thing to be worried about, we try to convince ourselves or anyone who will listen, oh, no, you don't understand. This one is the most important thing in the world to be worried about. And I want you to hear yourself telling yourself that story each time, to become aware of that story, and almost to start to laugh at it. Like, how can everything be the most important thing in the world to be worried about? How can everything be this worthy of my anxiety? How can I keep convincing myself every time, no, this time it's really important. This time, it's really scary. Realize that if your anxiety is the constant, then the targets become a farce. Number 3, we have to recognize that behind the anxiety that we feel, when we get obsessed with someone in early dating is a need. The anxious obsession feels objectively like a bad thing, but embedded within it is just an unmet need. There's a kind of cry for help there. We get obsessed with someone because we like them, and liking someone isn't a problem. But when liking someone, when being on a date and realizing, this person's great, I really like them, or I admire them, or I respect them, or I'd like to spend more time with them if they're open to that. When that crosses over into I'll die if they don't text me back, something's happened there. It's no longer just an admiration for them as a person, or a kind of excitement about the possibility of another date with them. It's turned into a sense of danger that if they don't reply, if they don't like me, if this doesn't progress, I won't be okay. Beneath all of that, there's this need that's being expressed. It can be a need for safety, a need for consistency, a need to feel wanted or acknowledged or seen or worthy. That there is a need there. And the need is trying to express itself. But what happens with our anxiety is the need gets transferred to something, or in this case, someone on the outside. There's nothing wrong with the need, by the way. We all have these needs, and especially when we have been through a lot in our life, we have certain traumas from childhood or relationships. We can come out of those situations really needing a sense of safety, really needing a sense of peace or consistency. There's nothing wrong with that. But where we get ourselves into trouble is that internal need transfers itself to an external target. We suddenly nominate someone that we have known for 5 minutes or 3 dates as the sole provider of this need that we have. Your job, person that I've decided I like, is to make me feel safe. And the way you're going to make me feel safe is to communicate as often as I want you to communicate, to tell me all of the things as often as I need to and as intensely as I need you to say them, to reassure me and to demonstrate that you like me as much as I like you, preferably a bit more. That will really make me feel safe. And if this person does not provide these things in precisely the way that voice inside of us needs, then our anxiety goes through the roof. And then a version of us, of course, comes out that has the ability to sabotage situations. Well, here's the really tricky part. We start saying and doing things that push away healthy, secure people, because secure people feel that something is going very wrong if they are suddenly being made responsible for too much of our happiness too soon. But it has a very insidious effect with people who are not well-intentioned, or people we might think of as toxic, who realize the amount of power that they can have over us by saying and doing the right things. So if our anxiety demonstrates an extreme need, and they can fulfill that need by showing up in very grandiose ways early on, by saying exactly what we want to hear, we feel a false sense of safety with this person who is saying things that really they have no business saying right now, in the same way that our need that has nothing really to do with this person has no business being quenched by this person. So an out of proportion need is being met by a totally false sense of security from the outside. And that's how we find ourselves getting our hearts broken by the love bombers, the manipulators, the narcissists, the sociopaths, the people that are looking for precisely the right intensity of pain, anxiety, and need to come along and be the answer for. So bottom line, we have to stop nominating people on the outside as the answer to that anxiety we feel on the inside, because the obsession that we have for this person in dating is nothing more than the expression of that internal anxiety and that need that wants to be met. Now, like I said, it's okay to like someone. We don't have to become indifferent to protect ourselves. We can openly like someone. We can even openly want more with someone. But any time it strays into a feeling of pain that's out of proportion with how well we know this person or how long it's been going on for, we have to go back to that reminder. This is anxiety, and that anxiety is coming from a need. How, in this moment, instead of asking for validation, reassurance, and intensity from the outside, do I start to create a home within myself? So I want you to write this down if you've got something you can write on right now. Number 4, create a safe home within yourself. I want you to tell yourself, if I want to make someone else a part of my home, that feeling of home, I first have to create a home within myself. So number 4, we have to create a safe home within ourselves. I want you to take a scenario where maybe you feel a little nervous or a bit anxious. Take a party that you find yourself at on your own. Imagine the feelings that you get being at that party, not knowing anyone, wondering what everyone's thinking about you, feeling embarrassed or awkwardly shuffling around and trying to look like you've got something to do, like checking your phone as a way of looking cool at the party when in fact you're not really checking anything. You're just trying to look like you're not that strange person standing on the sidelines. Feel that feeling, that lack of safety, that desire to be comforted, that desire that very quickly gets transferred onto the room, and that thought of, I wish someone would come over and make me feel good right now. I wish someone would come over and welcome me into this party, that they would reassure me, that they would find me interesting, that they would save me from the sidelines. Now notice that that is us trying to find a home outside of ourselves in this party, when in fact, we don't need to go anywhere or talk to anyone to create a home within ourselves. The feelings that we are seeking on the outside, we can create on the inside. Now, how do we do that? Well, let's recap for a moment. We've understood so far in this video that the desire for someone to come over, the desire for people to come and make friends with you, that is anxiety. We've understood so far in this video that in this situation, that kind of obsessive thinking of, I need someone to come and make me feel better, I need people to be friends with me, I need to raise my status in this party and not look like the sad, weird person on my own, that is anxiety. It's not representative of something that's truly important. You're not going to die. You may not care about any of these people or even see any of them again. None of this right now is actually important. So the thoughts aren't real. It's all anxiety. So we label it that. We recognize that beneath that anxiety is a need to feel safe, a need to feel accepted, a need to feel loved. That part of you isn't you as a whole, it's just a voice within you, one of many. What it's doing is it's looking for reassurance on the outside. What we have to do is give ourselves the reassurance that we seek. We have to be the safety we're looking for. The temptation is to identify with it and to think that me and this voice are the same thing, but actually this voice is the part of us that is scared. You could think of it as the inner child. You can even think of it as like a screaming toddler that is anxious or afraid or just trying to get a need met, but it's not the adult in the room. And if you think about a child screaming in the back of the car, you wouldn't turn to that child and say, hey, here's the keys to the car, you drive then, right? You acknowledge that, oh, there's a scared child here. How do I turn to meet them in a way that is effective, productive, compassionate, loving? How do I give that child what that child needs, which is different, by the way, to what that child wants, right? We'll come on to that in a second. So let's move on to point number 5. What does the child need? What does that voice inside need? It's looking for safety on the outside, but what if we could give it a feeling of safety on the inside? What if we could talk to that part of ourselves in a loving voice? First, acknowledging them and connecting with what they feel. Hey, you met someone you like. It feels scary all of a sudden. I get it. You really want to find love. And I know you've been burned in the past. And this brings up so much for you. And I understand. I understand why you're feeling what you're feeling. And of course, by the way, by being us, we are the ones uniquely placed to know everything we've ever been through that's made us this way. That gives us this amazing vantage point from which to give ourselves compassion, to view ourselves holistically and contextually and say, I get you. I know why you feel this way. I know why you feel so obsessed right now and so anxious right now. You've been through a lot. You're looking for safety because you never had any. You know what that story is. So you can reassure yourself that that part of you isn't crazy. It's just reacting to its history. But that part of you also isn't you. So you can speak to it in a loving, compassionate voice. You're going to be okay. And even if this person doesn't text back, we're still going to be okay. Why? Because we've been okay in the past. We've successfully survived this life so far. We will survive it again. And this person isn't the most important person in the world. We're just afraid. It's okay. You give yourself that love, that affection, that presence. But what we also do is we're firm with that part of ourselves. That's what being the adult in the room is. That's what being the parent is. Remember, it's not about just giving that voice what it wants. It's giving that voice what it needs. And what that voice might need right now is a firm hand, is us saying, I know that you want to turn this into something really important, but we're not going to do that. I know that you want to keep thinking about this person over and over, but you know what? We're going to go do something else. We're going to go work out. We're going to go hang with our friends who have been around much longer than this person we've known for 5 minutes. We're going to do something we love, engage in one of our passions. We're not going to sit here and ruminate about this person. And no, we're not going to go and call all of our friends and tell them how amazing this person is. And oh my God, this could be the one. And we're not going to do that either. We're not going to entertain these thoughts. We're going to accept it for what it is. Someone that I had a great time with, someone that maybe I have an admiration or a respect for based on how well I know them right now, but also someone that I don't really know, but who I'm looking forward to get to know more, providing they feel the same way, okay? I'm not going to allow the thoughts to go any further than that. We have to know when to cut ourselves off and say, this is no longer productive. This is just anxious rumination by another name. Namely, that this person is the one for me. No. I don't know that yet. The next time you hear that voice go, this person's the one, go, you're anxiously ruminating. That's what this is. Right? So we have to be firm with that voice at the same time as being compassionate and affectionate with that voice. So let me know what you thought of this. Leave me a comment. I'm excited to read them. What spoke to you most about this video? Are you someone who obsessively ruminates about someone when you first start dating them? Do you get carried away too quickly? How does that affect you? And how has this video helped? I'm excited to read your comments. And by the way, thank you to everyone who shares these videos. It means so much to me. I can't do this work on my own. I want to get these messages to as many people as I can, people that may not know that there are tools out there to feel better. There are messages that can soothe the pain that they're feeling right now. For everyone who shares this video with your platform or just with your friends and family, thank you. And I promise to keep delivering videos like this that can help you going forward. And for anyone who wants to share more time with me, in September of this year, I am running my live retreat for 6 days from the 9th of September until the 15th in Florida. We're going to be together all in one resort. It's going to be an amazing experience. If you want to continue your growth journey with me in a very immersive way, live in person, then I encourage you to apply. The link is mhretreat.com. Go check it out. We're down to a small number of spaces now. There's only so much space in the room, and it's not a very big room. It's an intimate program, so come join us, and I hope I get to see you there. Thank you so much for watching this video. As always, I look forward to reading your comments, and I will see you next week. Be well, my friends, and love life. I want to talk about a subtle but profound thing that people who successfully find love do that other people don't. And by doing this, it allows them to find the right kind of person far earlier, where other people keep running into the wrong kinds of people. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I'm Matthew Hussey. I've been doing this for 17 years, helping people find love through increased confidence and relational intelligence. I'm the author of the New York Times bestselling book, Love Life, for those of you that don't know, and for anyone who wants to join me in one of my events. You just missed one, but there's good news. We have a replay of it. It happened on the 22nd of October. It was all about how to go from casual to committed in a relationship. So if you want a long-term relationship, check this out. The replay is only available for a few more days. Go to lovelifereplay.com to watch it right now. Okay, so the subject of today's video came out of a live I did on social media this week where someone asked me this question. An acquaintance of a few years has been texting me every day for weeks. And when I tried to ask him out a week ago, he said no and that he's dating someone. He continues texting every day. What to do? Have you ever been in a situation like this that you find confusing, where you're wondering what to do? Why is someone behaving like this? How can I get their attention? How do I get them to actually go out with me if it seems to be stalling in this way? Do you have a situation right now in your life that you're finding confusing and are trying to work out what to do next? All of those questions are the wrong question. What I know about the woman asking this question is that she is ignoring something fundamental. There's an implicit why is he doing this in her question. There's an implicit, what do I do now? What do I text him back? And there's also kind of an implicit, how do I get him to actually go on a date with me? But while her focus is clearly being monopolized by all of these things, there is something she is not focused on. And it's the most important thing there is when it comes to choosing a partner for our love life. His character. And his lack of character is being revealed in the way that he is dealing with her. This is a man that was texting her when he was dating someone clearly seriously enough to say no to a date. And then when she asked him on a date, because she was reading his signals as him being interested, he said no, because I'm dating someone. And then even after being very clear that he's dating someone and therefore can't go out with her, he continues to text her every day. How does this make the character of a person who is good to date? It clearly doesn't make him good to date for the person he's dating, a person who I can almost guarantee doesn't know that he is texting his acquaintance every day, despite the fact that that acquaintance clearly asked him out and has romantic feelings for him. If she was connected to the ways that his character wasn't living up to the character of the person she'd want to share her life with, she wouldn't be asking me a question about this man in the first place. But she is by no means on her own in asking this kind of question. In fact, it's incredibly common for me to field questions like this. Why is that? It's because for so many of us, we are not taking culture seriously. What do I mean by culture? The culture we create in our lives is really an external representation of an internal value system. We develop and cultivate a culture in life by the choices we make and the people we let close to us and surround ourselves with. And creating the right culture takes discipline precisely because we have to make hard choices that may involve saying no to people who feel attractive, interesting, or like they're giving us some kind of short-term seductive reward, but don't actually live up to the values that we hold dear. When I was a teenager, many people don't know this about me, but I used to be a DJ, and I DJ'd for about 10 years. So I was playing out one night, and there was a group of older guys. I was a kid, right? Albeit a kid that was sort of dressed up, in gold chains and whatnot. I was doing the whole look with a hat and everything. And I was a late bloomer, so I was also quite small at that time. So this group of guys came over to me and were sort of hovering around me, close to the DJ stand. And at first it was intimidating because I was like, what's this group of guys all doing standing beside me the whole time I'm DJing? But then one of them, David, I feel like we can throw up some sort of Jason Statham-esque image, like that kind of character, sort of leant over and said, "You all right, boy? Got some skills there, ain't you? Good DJ. Yeah. Listen, we've got a pirate radio station and I'd love to get you on there. Be a big opportunity." And when I said to him, that sounds really exciting. Like, wow, that sounds that sounds fun. I was just giddy as a teenager. He was like, "See, I knew you'd love the opportunity. Sharp as a tack you are, aren't you?" This was someone, by the way, that simultaneously I felt so excited to say yes to and felt it would be a bad idea to say no to. But I skipped home. I remember going back and talking to my dad about it and going, this group of guys came over to me. They've invited me to go and have my own slot on this pirate radio station. It's a really big deal. I knew the station. I was already a fan of the station. But the further away I got from that conversation with Jason Statham, the more I came to realize that this wasn't a crowd that I necessarily wanted to be around. That there was something about the value system of this group of people that my intuition picked up on that wouldn't be good for me. James Hollis has a question I was turned on to by Oliver Burkeman, who wrote the new book, Meditation for Mortals. Great episode with him coming out on the podcast, by the way. He has a question that goes like this: will this opportunity diminish or enlarge me? And obviously as a teenager, I wasn't asking myself that specific question, but on a visceral, intuitive level, I had this sense of this isn't going to be good for me. This isn't going to bring me into contact with the kinds of people that will enlarge me, that this has the potential to diminish me or even immerse me in a culture that I don't want to exist in. My point in all of this is that throughout our lives, culture is actually one of the hardest things to cultivate. It takes real effort, it takes real energy, and it often requires us to say no to things that our ego wants to grab. The way I see culture is that if we keep feeding the right culture, if we keep paying attention to that intuition, if we keep paying attention to people's character, to people whose values reflect our highest values, and people who don't seem to have those values, and we make decisions on that basis, our life will get better and better over time. Sometimes it feels like in the short term, we're taking a step backwards. Just in the case of this person whose question I answered on the live, I know that my answer to her meant that in the short term, she would stop texting someone that she had come to enjoy texting. Even though it wasn't ultimately satisfying to her, there was some kind of reward it was giving her on a daily basis. So it doesn't often feel good to stand behind the culture we want to create. But long term, our entire world becomes a real, tangible reflection of the values we hold dear and the people in our lives, from the person we choose to spend our life with romantically, to our friends, to our colleagues or the people we hire if we have a business. Everyone will end up being a reflection of your culture, a culture that your life is evidence of you taking seriously. Have you ever had a friend or someone you know who has introduced you to different people, and every new person they introduce you to makes you realize more and more that this person just surrounds themselves with amazing people, kind people, interesting people, lovely, compassionate, warm people. Have you ever felt that? I know I have. What you know is that that person takes the culture of their life seriously. And then from the outside, you end up going, man, how is it everyone you know is so lovely? It's because they've cultivated that over time. The people in life who not only find love, but find it with people who make them happy in relationships that last, take culture seriously. They are disciplined and willing to be ruthless and do the hard things when it comes to saying no to people who may feel sexy and exciting or rewarding in the short term, in favor of waiting for someone or proactively searching for someone who actually represents the values they care about. And that doesn't just take effort and discipline, it takes guts. It takes guts to say no to the opportunity that is in front of you, resting only on some kind of faith that at some point, someone better, someone with more character, someone more in line with the way you are will come along. But I believe that if we can create space in our lives, that faith gets rewarded. But the right person can never come in if we never create that space. Love needs space. To this day, one of the greatest compliments I ever received about my relationship, my marriage to Audrey, is that along the way, the people that knew me the best and the people that cared about me the most, when they met Audrey, said, it makes sense. It makes so much sense why you chose Audrey and why you two are together. Even to the extent, by the way, that the people that know me best in my audience, one of the loveliest things is how many of you listened to Audrey on the podcast and then emailed us and said, oh my God, I mean, it just makes complete sense. That's because me and Audrey have the same culture. And sometimes you have to wait a little longer to find that person who fits with your culture. And you have to say no a little more. And when nothing's happening in your love life in the short term, that can feel like a thankless task. It can feel like a thankless thing to have to do, to keep saying no when it doesn't feel like there are any other opportunities around. That's what makes it brave. But the rewards for being brave are profound. For those of you that want to be brave in your love life and want to find not just a relationship, but a relationship that lasts, because the person you find fits with your culture, go over to lovelifereplay.com, because the entire session that I did on October the 22nd live with thousands of people was really at its deepest level about finding someone whose character fits with the culture of your character, your life. And when you find someone like that, those are the relationships that go the distance. So come join me if you're sick and tired of coming up against the wrong culture in dating and the wrong people, but you want to find the right one and know how to bring an energy that creates more commitment. Come join us. I look forward to seeing you there. And thank you, as always, for watching this video. I look forward to reading your comments. There is a fatal mistake that people make when they're planning a date. I'm going to tell you exactly what that mistake is, and at the end of the video, I'm going to show you how to avoid this, because this is the worst. It creates every awkward date that you will ever go on. Now, here's the mistake. When people go on a date, they create this big plan for what they're going to do with someone that is almost impossible to escape from. What would be an example of that? Dinner. A dinner date is just an awful idea for the most part, unless you already know you like the person and they like you and you already have a connection and attraction. Going to a dinner date is really a nightmare, because let's say 15 minutes in, you realize that you and this person have nothing in common. They just said something that you thought was completely batshit crazy, and you think, I cannot be in this person's company for the next hour, except you just ordered your main course, Now you're stuck there for the next 45 minutes to an hour with this person. And then at the end of the main course, what do you do if he orders dessert? You're screwed for another 30 minutes. And it also looks kind of desperate. When you don't know somebody, when you don't know if you have attraction, and you've booked out your whole evening to see them, the message that we send is, I have a whole evening for someone I barely even know. How do we get around this? I want you to think of your date as being 3 compartments. And how you organize these 3 compartments will determine how easy it is to escape, how stressful the date is, and how in control and cool you look in the process. Going to dinner is like having 2/3 of the date up front. That's why it's dangerous, because now 20 minutes in, you can't leave. What I suggest is taking one compartment, the first compartment, and having that take place at a separate venue to begin with than the remaining 2/3. Let's say you wanted to go for a drink in a bar. That's 1/3, because it's easy to remove yourself from that situation. If you want to leave after one drink because it's not going very well, you can make your excuses. I need to catch up with my friends, or I booked to see my friends, I have to go, I need to go home and get some work done. Whatever it is, use that 1/3 as the first venue that you go to. Now, you can save the remaining 2 compartments for something else. Let's say there's a bowling alley around the corner, and you don't tell him about that to begin with, but the first drink goes really well, and after a drink or 2, you say to him, you know what, let's go do something fun. There's a bowling alley around the corner. Are you good? I'm gonna kick your ass. Let's go bowling. Having one compartment take place somewhere that's easy and risk-free serves 2 big purposes. The first is having an escape plan. If it's not going well, you can leave and you haven't committed yourself to the next 2 hours of something with someone that you don't really like. But the second thing, and this is more subtle, it shows that if he's graduating to the second 2 compartments of the date, it's because he's done something right. He's earned it. If you had a great drink and then you said, there's a bowling alley around the corner, let's go bowling. He's going bowling with you because he feels like you've had a good time, and now spontaneously you're saying, let's go do something else. In your mind, you already had an idea that you might be able to do something else with him. By the way, that planning is key, right? You don't want to be stuck having a drink in a bar and have no ideas of where to take this date if it's going well. But it's showing him that this is arising from the fact that he's done well and he's earned it. You haven't just given up an entire evening to someone who you don't know just because. You're doing it because you like him. The point is, divide it like this so that you don't put all of the pressure around one activity in a date. The ideal date does one compartment somewhere that's risk-free and easy to leave. And then if it's going well, you have the second 2/3 in the next place. That's it. As I said, see your date as 3 compartments. It's going to be much easier to manage. And I'll see you next week for the next tip. I'm excited. I hope you're enjoying these. Leave me a comment. If you're not following me on Facebook right now, go to facebook.com/Coach Matthew Hussey. I have articles there, videos, you name it. You can keep up to date with our world. And I'll see you soon. Bye-bye. Here's my guess. You hate going on random dates. And why wouldn't you? You go on dates where you don't know there's any chemistry, you spend your whole evening with someone that in the first 5 minutes you realize you don't feel anything with, and afterwards you feel deflated and burned out and like you don't want to go on any more of them. Now I get it. I don't want to be giving up entire evenings of my time for strangers either. I'd rather be spending it with friends or family, people I already know and care about. Which is why what I'm about to tell you today is so important and will revolutionize your dating life. Be generous about who you meet, but be selfish about who you date. See, I think people are fussy about the wrong things. You'll get women who give a ton of their time and energy to a guy who's not even trying, and then when they're swiping on a dating app, they won't even talk to a guy because his shirt and his shorts don't match. I believe that we have to start getting less selective about who we talk to and far more selective about who we actually date, because it's dating that is time consuming. It's relationships and investing emotion and energy that is time consuming. Meeting someone takes 1 minute.
I'm starting to believe in the idea of a 1-minute date. What is a 1-minute date? It's the moment in the cafe where you ask the guy who just ordered a turmeric latte whether it actually tastes good. It's a moment in an online dating situation where you send a guy a message to have a quick conversation to see if he actually is as witty as he claims to be in his profile. In fact, I believe that we should rarely go on a date with someone we haven't first had a phone call with. If you meet a guy online or on an app, you should be getting that person on the phone before going on a date with them. I know personally, I can tell within 5 to 10 minutes on the phone whether I'm going to enjoy someone's company and their conversation. Why waste 3 hours on a date where you can spend 5 minutes figuring out whether you can actually connect with someone? So many people these days are going on dates to find out if there's chemistry. I'm a believer in going on a date because there's chemistry. People misunderstand me. They think that I want them to be going on dates every night of the week. I think that is the worst use of your time. I want you to be talking to different people, creating chemistry so that you can decide on the one night of the week that you do have a date to give it to someone that's actually showing promise. What I need you to do is give more energy to the quick interactions that might actually lead to something and give you choice with men, and drop the 6-month affair with Dan, who you have a great connection with, but only sees you twice a month to hook up at 11 o'clock at night. So many women are more comfortable giving up yet another evening of their lives to a guy they like, but know it's not going anywhere with, than dedicating 3 minutes of their life to a new phone call or a conversation with a guy they don't yet know. And by the way, there's a really good chance that this is going to feel uncomfortable at first. Why? Because it's so much easier to go out with the person you already know, even if they're not satisfying your needs, than to go out there and meet new people. But you don't have to spend entire evenings with strangers. All you have to do is give a few more minutes away. Make this year the year that you meet your Mr. Right quicker, because you're generous with your minutes and selfish with your hours. I'll see you next week.
I am speaking to anyone watching this video right now who has a broken heart. When you have a broken heart, two things are going on. On one hand, you have pain. Pain that you are no longer around somebody you love. You also have fear. Fear that maybe you lost the person who's actually right for you. Now look, I know that you may not admit this to your friends or your family, but there's probably a part of you inside that is wondering, how do I get him back? There's also another part of you that's thinking, how do I move on? So you're conflicted internally about what to do next. What should be my next move? Well, I want you to breathe a sigh of relief. Why? Because the path to moving on and the path to getting him back are exactly the same. It is the same process to do both. But here's the problem. There is something going on inside of you that is making it difficult for you to do either of these two things. You're addicted. You're addicted to the feeling of being with that person. And a breakup is the equivalent of somebody taking away your drug at the height of your addiction. And at that point, you're so in pain and you're in such withdrawal that you will do anything to get your fix again. So here's how that looks. He broke up with you, and now a few days later, maybe even a few hours later, he's already texting you. He's getting on the phone. Maybe you even go for coffee with him. Maybe one of you even goes to the other one's house and you sleep together again. And you get that instant connection. Both of you get that instant gratification. The result is that you feed your addiction and he never feels the pain of having broken up with you. If you're serious about getting somebody back, you have to raise the stakes. See, people are only moved to action when there are real stakes at play. People go out and fight for food when they're hungry. People finally start living their dreams when they feel like time is running out. And people commit to relationships when they feel like there's a real chance that that relationship could slip through their fingers. But as long as you are feeding your addiction, he will never feel real stakes in the matter. So you feed your addiction and his stakes drop. All of this puts you in the limbo loop. Here's what that looks like. These are the stakes. This is your addiction. The phone calls with him, the text messages, the sex, the emotional connection. If you feed your addiction by giving in to his attempts to reach out to you, to still be in your life, his stakes go down. And this happens over and over again, which is why you can find that for years on end, you can still be in touch with someone, never moving on, never getting over them. And at the same time, he never gets over you, but he still keeps using you for the validation, for the connection. You're feeding your addiction. You're getting a little something out of it. You're getting your fix, but it's not satisfying. It's not happiness. It's just comfort. But that's what people do when they give in to a fix. They give in to comfort. They give in to their addiction. And your addiction sends down his stakes. So he never feels the reality of having broken up with you. So how do you short circuit the limbo loop with the no contact period? Now, this means making a clean break from this person for a period of time. And let me tell you this, it is never too late to begin the no contact period. He may have broken up with you months or even years ago, and you've been in a cycle of talking to him ever since. That changes today. I want your no contact period to start right now. This is one of the first things I do. I have an entire program where I take people through how to get someone running back to them. And in the same program, I teach them how to move on from him for good if they decide that that's what they want to do. The first thing I encourage people to do, in fact, the first thing I order people to do, is to go through a no contact period. I even tell them to write a letter to that person stating that they understand that this is now a clean break, that they're going to go on their own path, and they're going to do exactly that. I want you to do that starting today. And if you want to follow this process with me, if you want me to guide you through the steps to doing this, I have a free guide for you. I'll link it up right here. All you need to do is click through to that and find out the next steps. But please do this for yourself. I guarantee that there are people that love you right now. If you're heartbroken, there are people that love you who are telling you to do exactly this. They may not be telling you how to do it, but they're telling you to do it. They're telling you it's time for you to make a clean break and move on with your life. Your addiction is stopping you from doing that. But I promise you this, better times lie ahead if you can give yourself a genuine period of breaking away from that person, because you will either move on and find someone better, or you will give him a genuine opportunity to come to his senses and decide that you are what he really wants. I know it's hard. I know how hard this is. It is one of the worst feelings in the world. Barring a health issue, heartache and heartbreak are amongst the worst pains a human being can feel. But I promise you, I'm with you, we're on the same team, and we will do it together. I'll see you in the free guide.
Matthew Hussey here. We are going to do something slightly different today. I wanted questions from you, but I didn't want to do it in a very boring way where I just read them off a laptop like normal. I wanted to get you to send them in via tweets and record some videos for me. So that is exactly what we've done. We've taken a couple of tweets and a couple of your videos that you sent in, and we're going to use those to make this video. I'm excited. And by the way, those of you whose video I use in this episode, I'm going to give you 2 free tickets as my present to the live tour, which is either in North America or the UK. You can choose any location you want and come and join us there. Okay, so I'm going to play a video. I'm going to answer the question. Credit goes to Jameson for choosing the videos because we had a whole bunch that you sent in. Jameson chose the ones that we were going to answer. I haven't even seen these or listened to these yet, so I'm hearing these fresh. We'll see what happens.
Hey Matthew, this is Johanna from Germany, and my question to you is, who are your top 3 idols in your life? Yeah, I'm looking forward to your answer. Bye!
Top 3 idols. This is, wow. It's really hard. I feel like we need a couple of different ones. All right, I'm gonna go one historic, I'm gonna go one more recent. I'm gonna go one who's just out there. The historic one is Thomas Paine. Thomas Paine was around the late 18th century, and he wrote some polemics politically that expressed very controversial views. He expressed very controversial views about the UK government, some massively controversial views on religion at the time, and some also very revolutionary views on the way he saw America developing. He was someone that inspired the likes of Thomas Jefferson and George Washington to do what they did in the States around the time of the Declaration of Independence. So an incredible gentleman who stood up for what he believed in a time when many of his views were not popular, and in many ways disgraced him to a lot of people, to a lot of his peers. So I admire anyone who can stand up for what they believe in a way that defies public opinion and doesn't give too much respect to public opinion. He was someone who had strong opinions that he held as his own and was prepared to fight for them. More recent one, this probably will not come as a surprise to all that many of you, but Anthony Robbins is a huge inspiration to me and has been since I was a young teenager. To me, he might be the best public speaker on planet Earth today. I can't speak for all the planets. And that's because he can hold a room for hours and hours and hours. There are many good comedians who can hold people for an hour. There are some politicians who are good at holding people in a speech, which is very pre-planned and they have a script in front of them. But he's one of the only people on earth I know that can truly hold people for that length of time. And I think that there are very few people who come close to him in that area. I also admire what he's built. I think he's built an incredible empire that really separates him from so many others out there. I think his passion and energy shines through, even if you don't agree with what he says. There are many people in life where I don't agree with everything they say, but when you see their energy and their passion, you can't doubt that they're an incredible human being. And then the third one, this one's going to surprise people. Many of you don't even know who this is, but Jamie Cullum. Jamie Cullum is a UK singer and musician who travels the world on his tours, playing the piano and singing his heart out on stage. And if you just YouTube Jamie Cullum live and watch his live performances, he's jazzy, but you may not be into jazz. He also has this pop element to him, but he's also slightly alternative. He's just filled with passion. The way he performs live on stage, he's not just sitting there playing the piano, he's beating the piano. There are times when he drums on the piano where he's just singing and drumming at the same time, or where he's beatboxing or whatever. He's one of those performers that uses everything at his disposal. People often say to me, if you could trade lives with someone, who would it be? Actually, Jamie Cullum might be the person, because he just goes and does what he's passionate about. And he doesn't just go for the mass market. He does what he loves. And if people like it, great. And if they don't, that's okay too. But he's never really sold out. You know, he's always been about what he loves, which is the music. And you can see it and you can feel it. And I love that because I love passion. All right.
Hey guys, Matthew Hussey here. No, I'm just kidding. If you could go back in time and tell your younger self 3 key things, what would they be and why?
Thank you. We didn't get your name. We didn't get her name. Wow, what a great impression. Is that what I sound like, Jameson? 3 things I would tell my teenage self. We did a video on this at one point, so I have no idea if what I'm going to say now is going to correlate with what I said in that video. I would tell myself to stop waiting for a time when all of your insecurity will go away, because that won't happen. Even as you become more confident, the insecurity will still be there. So instead of waiting for a magical time when you suddenly feel like every insecurity is eradicated, just understand that you'll probably have some insecurity until the day you die. So start doing the things that you want to do now, in spite of your insecurities, instead of waiting around for the insecurities themselves to magically disappear. It doesn't mean we can't work on them and start to erode them, but stop waiting for a perfect time when you don't have insecurities anymore. Because I cared too much what people thought. What else would I tell myself? Stop trying to organize your work perfectly. I remember back at school, in high school, where I would revise for exams, and I would try and try and create the perfect revision schedule where from morning till night I had the perfect things in their place, and even on the desk had to be organized a certain way, and I would try and do everything perfectly, and because of that I'd never get round to it in the first place. I would tell my teenage self, take bites out of things and correct course along the way. Make it more efficient, more perfect, more productive as you go. Don't try and start from that place. Just take little chunks out of things and everything will get easier, because all work pays off. I actually have a note on my, I'm going to read it to you. I forget exactly what it says. Oh, so I put, this literally I keep on my desktop, on my computer. Every bit of work pays off. Every tiny action of proactivity has consequences. Keep going, even if it seems disorganized and all over the place. It's kind of cool. That was a nice little, that came together really well, Jameson. We couldn't have planned that shit. I'm gonna call this Eat Vegetables Sometimes. I didn't really like vegetables that much, and so I would sort of associate eating good foods with pain, and as a result I'd have like 6 days of eating badly, and then when I needed to eat well I'd be like, okay, time's up on eating badly. I'm gonna now eat nothing but salad for the rest of the week. It was terrible, and I'd last a day and a half, and then I'd have so much pain around eating well that I'd go straight back to eating badly again. When I was a teenager, a lot of life was like that. It's like 6 days of bad habits followed by 1 day of trying to be Superman before breaking it again and going back to the bad habits. I would say instead, just eat your vegetables sometimes. You can always improve on that, but in the beginning, just a little bit more balance is key. So those are the 3 things I tell myself as a teenager. Let's jump to some tweets. Priyanka Dada, why do men lie and what can be done to avoid it? Yeah, that's a good one. Why do men lie? I'm going to go simple to begin with, because there are many reasons people lie, of course. In the majority of cases, I think men lie because they want to have it both ways. If I lie here, I can do what I want to do over here and get the result I want here. When a guy takes someone home and she says, do you want a relationship? Are you looking for a relationship? And she asks that question for a reason in that moment, because maybe she doesn't want to sleep with him unless it's going somewhere. Now he has a choice to make. He could tell the truth. If in this case the truth is, I don't want a relationship, that's the furthest thing from what I want, and I definitely don't want one with you, that may stop him from having sex right now. If instead he's ambiguous or just lies and says, I think I might want a relationship, maybe. Or he's just more ambiguous and says, I'm really not sure at the moment, my lifestyle, I guess, could change if the right person came along. What he's doing is misleading her so that he can get the result he wants, in other words, have sex right now, and then afterwards do what he wants as well, which is not have a relationship with this person. What you're really looking for in life is a guy with integrity. And integrity in this context meaning someone who portrays and says the same things that they think and feel, and those things are congruent with the way he behaves. So all of these things, what he says, what he thinks and feels, and what he does are in sync. That's the sort of person that we're all looking for when it comes to a long-term partner. You can't stop a liar from lying. You can influence his behavior, but you can't control it. The only way to figure out if you're with a liar is to watch them. And don't watch their words, watch their actions, and watch if their actions are the same as their words, if they sync up. And if they're not, start to remove that person from your life. At the very least, call them on it in the beginning and say, listen, you said this, but you did this, and I just want to let you know that for me, that's not cool, because I'm someone who always honors what I say. By the way, you have to be if you want to call someone out on being a liar. I'm someone who has integrity in their actions, and if I say something, I mean it, and I don't mean something else, and I certainly am not trying to mislead you, and I I don't want any less respect than that from you. That way, at least he knows where he stands with you, and he knows that you're not someone who will tolerate a lie. I have found in my life, someone who consistently lies on the small level can be very dangerous. We sometimes think there's a difference between the small lies and the big lies, and in some ways there are. But small lies are particularly dangerous because sometimes they're innocuous. They don't seem like they'd be too painful or too harmful, but you have to understand what that suggests about a person if they're willing to consistently lie about the small things. It's a behavior which suggests that they're always looking to take the easy route instead of the route of integrity, which is sometimes a little harder, but ultimately much more honest and engenders much more respect and trust from other people. We were going to do more, but Jameson said this has already run too long. So we'll do more next time, I guess. This gives us a nice chance for us to find out what you thought of this. How do you like the longer format? Do you like the videos? Do you like the tweets? Tell us what you think of this. I've actually had fun with this because I feel like so often I make videos and you just see YouTube views rack up and it's just like a number on a screen and you can't relate to all of the people out there that are actually part of this fabulous community. When I see you guys on video and I see your tweets, it's so real and it's so human and we get to interact. So keep sending in tweets and videos, ask us questions. If you want to send us a tweet asking us a question to be answered in one of these videos, hashtag Ask Matthew Hussey. If you want to send a video, send it to video@matthewhussey.com. Keep it around the 10 to 30 second mark. Give us a question. I want to know. Guys, if there are dudes watching this video, I want you to send in your questions as well. I'd love to answer some questions from guys, and I think you ladies would get a kick out of it too. So that would be fun. And let's keep this thing going. I think this is exciting. Congratulations to the people that won tickets today by getting their videos played. And if you haven't got tour tickets, go get them now. I have the tour dates ready. We have some locations in North America. We have London. So in North America, we have Toronto. We have New York, Chicago, LA. Come join us in one of those locations or in London. We'll link up the tour underneath as well. And I'll see you soon. See you in the next video. Guys, just some news. We have our retreat coming up September 9th to the 15th. If you want to come and spend 6 days with me on the beach in Florida this year, the one and only time this is happening this year, then come join us. You don't want to wait till the next time we do something like this. It's going to be a long time and your progress can't wait that long. If there are big things holding you back in your life right now, if you feel like there's more that you want to achieve, if there's more peace you want to achieve internally, if you want to find love, but there are ways that you feel you're sabotaging or holding yourself back, or there are just emotional patterns or past trauma getting in the way of you enjoying your life, this is where we do the deepest work. You can still apply at mhretreat.com. Spaces are very limited at this stage, so jump on board while you can. mhretreat.com. Are you trying to meet someone right now? If you are, you probably are wondering how you can actually get out there and connect with more people. Maybe you're on the apps, maybe you're not. Either way, we all could use sometimes some ways of going on autopilot, some things that we could just say to initiate a conversation that we find attractive. So if there isn't a special someone in your life right now and you want there to be, the first step is always going to be going out there and connecting with new people. We have a brand new guide called Spark and Connect that shows you 9 different ways that you can begin a new connection with someone. It's very practical, it's specific things you can say, you can make them your own, completely free. You can be reading it in 30 seconds. So go check that out. Lastly, before we get into the episode, if your love life is your #1 priority this year, if when you sat down to make your resolutions your number one resolution was around finding your special someone so that you can go forward in your life knowing that you are sharing your life with someone, that you are in a relationship, then the Love Life Club is where you want to be. Many people ask me if they can have one-on-one coaching with me, and I give the same answer every single time. Do more than make me your one-on-one coach for an hour, which is completely inaccessible for most people. And not to mention, I don't have any time these days to actually be able to do that because I'm spending all of my time inside the Love Life Club, working with people year round. So if you want to make me your coach, not just for an hour, but for an entire year in helping you find love, join the Love Life Club. You can find out more at lovelifeclub.com. Inside, we have masterclasses on every part of dating and love. We have live sessions every single week with either myself, my wife, Audrey Hussey, my brother, Stephen Hussey. We have experts, interviews, tools in there that can help you on your journey. There is no other year-round program for your love life that exists that can do this for you. Come find out more at lovelifeclub.com. You can either be part of it on a month-to-month basis, or you can do what many people do and just join up for the whole year in one go. I'll see you over there. So we're back.
We're back.
How are you feeling?
You know what?
Oh no.
Honest answer?
Yeah.
Honest answer? I just woke up feeling a bit meh today. And I was saying this to you, wasn't I? I was saying like, no reason. Just woke up a little bit meh. And so, yeah. The reason I say this, by the way, the reason I say this is because I think we should eliminate the stigma around feeling like bad, and it's okay to feel bad sometimes, right?
I can't stand, what do they call it? Toxic positivity?
Yeah, toxic positivity.
Yeah. I don't like living in a world where we all have to just be happy all the time or feign happiness all the time.
Yeah, no, it's true. And also like positivity is such a wonderful and beautiful thing. And we should always try to be positive, but I think part of the human experience is sometimes just not feeling that good, and that's okay. So sorry that I gave you such an honest answer.
Well, not to rush in with let's make you feel better. But I do actually think this episode's going to make you feel better.
Oh, I'm excited.
I feel confident that you're going to feel better by the end of this episode.
Okay.
We've been reading the podcast emails, and there is a particular email that caught my eye from Therese that I thought would be a lot of fun and would be very it's going to speak to a lot of people. So we'll read that email, but first, the theme song. So Teresa goes on to say, even though I feel the guy I am dating and I are now exclusive, we have been long distance since we met, nearly 12 months. The biggest issue is I am pretty sure I am definitely his lowest priority. Exclusivity is the last of my concerns, I think. I've listened and read so much of your work, and it has really helped keep us together for this long. Plus, I know he is trying his best and seems to really want to be the guy for me and keeps taking on board all the things I say. Except I can still feel and hear myself finding it not enough. Am I impossible to please? Should I put up with his incapacity to talk about feelings or to offer reassurance when I need it or empathy when I'm down? Do I need to accept his avoidance of making clear plans for our next catch-up? I have started to feel like an obligation, all things I have expressed to him. And yes, he is busy, granted, but that just tells me that he is clearly capable of making plans with other people and things, just not me. And when I ask about our next catch-up, he sends me his calendar, and so I bring it up. And still, through his busy lens, there is very little joy in his voice. more like a groan, as if I am some sort of job obligation. Okay, I'll get to it. I have some dates in my head. I just have to blah, blah, blah. There is always something more important, more pressing. So I'm forced to either keep my mouth shut and let him change the subject, and then the next time we talk, I either hope he brings it up, or I bring it up again, or maybe I disappear and play his silent no reply game. I feel trapped in these choices. None of them leave me feeling free or happy. I guess I have my answer. Dole. It's like he doesn't want to lose me, but he doesn't know what to do with me either. And I try to come up with ways to break up over the phone, but I can never bring myself to do it. He's not a bad guy. I love his dogs and knowledge for nature. But most of all, I love that he just keeps trying and keeps showing up. I keep naming my standards and boundaries as you have so expertly taught me to do so. Seriously, at 55 years old, I think this is the first time I've actually done this. It's carving a new story for me around asking for what I want and it not equaling them leaving. But maybe this is all he can offer. He is 58. And I want to be cherished more than this, to have my company sought out, valued, enjoyed, and to be able to enjoy theirs too, without being shut down or ridiculed for being a softie, or told I am giving too much or left till the last minute. Though when we're actually in each other's company, getting on with life and orbiting around each other with daily life, we're great. So, anyway, it's a mess. Thanks for listening. I love hearing you both laugh, and sometimes things get said on your episodes that would offend me, like the mukbang eating too much stuff thing, and I'd be totally fat shamed by it, but I just love how Audrey laughs and knows your intentions are clearly not that. Hashtag relationship goals. Thanks again. We'll keep reading your book and newsletter, and I joined the Love Life Club for a bit and inhaled some courses too, but plus all the other things I've bought and saved in my Matthew plus Audrey Dropbox folder. Keep shining, you two. I have lots to say about this.
I want to hear it.
I get the impression, Teresa, that you have always only known staying quiet or not speaking your boundaries, or you were taught that your needs don't matter, or you grew up in an environment that had you unable to have a voice in that way. And maybe you had early relationships that were exactly the same, where that was the expectation of you. So all of this is new. And as it's new, you're kind of calibrating in real time. What does it mean to have standards? What does it mean to stand up for myself? What should my expectations be? It's kind of like, you know that your expectations should be higher than in the past, but you don't know yet exactly what they should be or what's too much. And there's still a sense of being in a situation where you are worried that you're asking too much, even though, to me, there are some really glaring red flags about this situation. Let's run through a few of them. I mean, you said, I'm pretty sure I am definitely his lowest priority. And you said exclusivity is the last of my concerns, which I take to mean that you're not even nearly at the stage of being able to ask for exclusivity, because even the most basic needs aren't met. You don't feel important. You don't feel this person shows up for you. You don't feel they ever make a plan around you.
I think rewinding back even a little bit earlier than that, Teresa said something like, I'm pretty sure we are exclusive, or something like that. She
says, even though I feel the guy I am dating and I are now exclusive, we have been long distance since we met, nearly 12 months. The biggest issue is I am pretty sure I am definitely his lowest priority. Exclusivity is the last of my concerns, I think.
Yeah, so it sounds like the assumption that they're exclusive maybe stems from the fact that they've been dating for 12 months rather than a conversation has been had.
Yeah, which is a really dangerous thing.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah.
But it certainly seems like she doesn't even feel like she could bring that up. Like, I'm not even able to agree to when we're going to see each other next, let alone.
But when you're made to feel like you're not someone's priority, you're kind of always fighting for an equilibrium and a place from which you can then bring up things like exclusivity. And if somebody never makes you feel safe, then you never feel like you reach that place where you can even have that conversation.
Yeah.
Which is what a lot of people do, actually, to try and keep you in that non-committal kind of, you know, like in between limbo stage, is they kind of just, they never let you feel safe or close enough that you actually feel like you can have that conversation. You're always fighting to kind of get to that place. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it's a really used kind of tactic by people, is to make you feel like you're walking on eggshells, so that then you feel like you can't even have the conversations that need to be had. And she says, am I impossible to please? You know, that's, to me, that's history combined with, is a history of feeling like your needs don't matter, combined with a person in the present who is reinforcing that idea and making sure that you feel just uncomfortable enough in mentioning things that you don't feel like they're the one who's not giving you enough. You feel like you're impossible to please.
It breaks my heart, actually, to hear that, because I think it's so difficult to discern where you're being too demanding and where somebody's not meeting your needs. I think that's a very difficult thing to kind of get to the bottom of. And I think that, like, even in a healthy relationship, you can sometimes feel like, I can't tell whether this is my fault or whether this person isn't meeting my needs. And if you're in an unhealthy relationship, that's even more the case, because like it just makes you feel crazy. And, you know, Teresa, if you're listening, I just want to say, like, nothing that you've mentioned in this email is you being impossible to please. I think that you're asking, from the sounds of it, you're asking for his time and his energy and his attention, which is perfectly normal, reasonable, and kind of required, actually, to have a long distance relationship or any form of relationship. So I don't think you're the problem. I think the problem comes from this person's inability to meet your needs rather than you being too needy.
Yeah, and whether that inability to meet your need is sincere or whether he's just pretending to even try to meet your needs, it almost is irrelevant. You know, you say, Therese, I know he is trying his best and he seems to really want to be the guy for me. It's kind of irrelevant.
Yeah.
Someone saying, I want to be the guy for you. What's relevant is whether they can do the job.
Yeah.
And we have to stop in our love lives giving people the role if they're not capable of doing the job. I don't know whether he's sincere. To be honest, he strikes me as insincere. But even if he was sincere in his effort to be the guy for you, what's relevant is not that he wants to be that. What's relevant is, can he do the job? You say, Therese, should I put up with his incapacity to talk about feelings? Okay, well, that's a problem, especially if you're someone who's communicative. If he cannot talk about his feelings, that's going to be difficult, right? That doesn't mean you cannot have a relationship with that person, but if someone can't talk about their feelings, can they talk about the fact that they aren't good at talking about their feelings? And do they show a desire to get better at that? And is there evidence of the fact that they're actually trying to get better at that? You know, all of that is just a little world on its own that, by the way, could be relationship ending, because it's really hard if you're someone who can talk about feelings to be with someone who cannot. So all of that on its own is something that could spell the end of a relationship. You say he doesn't offer you reassurance when you need it or empathy when you're down. So there's two other big strikes.
That's horrible. That's really shitty.
And if we stop there, that would be a challenge, a massive challenge, to say the least. But then, Therese, you say, do I need to accept his avoidance of making clear plans for our next catch-up? Right? So you go on to say he's so busy that when you ask to see him, he shows you his calendar, as if to say, can't you see this calendar? I have no time, right?
Well, that on its own, even if he was the most empathetic person in the world, even if he was a great communicator, great at talking about his feelings, if that was the only issue, and you said, he just never has the time to see me and he makes me feel like an obligation anytime I'm trying to see him, that on its own is a huge problem for a relationship, is someone deciding not to prioritize you in their day, their week, their month. You know, our friend Jesse Itzler, who, you know, is a wildly successful entrepreneur, has, you know, started Zico coconut water and sold it, started Marquis Jets and sold it. You know, we're talking about someone that's worth hundreds of millions of dollars and is a serial entrepreneur. His philosophy for his life is, I plan my life before I plan my work. That is his overriding philosophy, is I take out a calendar, I plan all my trips with my family for my year, I plan the weekends with my kids, I plan the date night with Sarah, my wife. His wife is Sarah Blakely, who owns Spanx, or did own Spanx. I think she sold it. He said, I plan all of these things before I plan my work. My work gets planned around my life, because he's all about building his life resume. He's about getting time with his kids while they're still kids. He's about getting time with his relatives while they're still around. That is his obsession. Jesse is one of the busiest people I've ever met. But the way he lives his life is a reflection of his priorities. And we have to stop giving people a pass for being busy. When I see this man, or I think about this man, Therese, I don't just see a busy man. I see a man who has made very clear what his priorities are in life. And you should listen to that. Your problem, Therese, is not that you can't handle being with a busy person. Your problem is that you are with a person who does not prioritize his intimate connection, his relationship at all. And there are many, many highly successful, busy people, and not just highly successful people, people on the way up, people trying to be successful, who still manage to prioritize other aspects of their life that are important to them. Don't focus on the busyness. Focus on the hierarchy. Focus on the prioritization. What does it say about the person and what they value in life? Someone can be busy raising 5 kids, but if they spend most of their time raising their kids, you know what their priorities are.
Yeah.
There's 100 different ways to be busy. Busy doesn't tell you what someone's priorities are. How they choose to be busy is what tells you what someone's priorities are. And you are clearly not a priority to this person. Let's add that to the list, along with he can't talk about his feelings. He doesn't offer you reassurance when you need it. He has no empathy when you're down. These are your words, not mine. You said there is always something more important, more pressing. You should listen to that. You should listen to the fact that you feel forced to either keep your mouth shut or disappear and play his game of the silent no reply game. Okay, so now there's a whole other third thing, which is the silent treatment that he gives you. So now there's not even kindness in the way that he deals with this. He just disappears and goes silent on you. So we have a whole other thing.
You know, and I'm reluctant to say this in a way because I don't want to hurt Therese's feelings with it. But to me, it sounds a little bit like there is his life that he, to your point, he prioritizes. And then whatever he gets from her in the form of attention, validation, like comfort, whatever it might be, he then dips into as and when he pleases. And that's the role that relationship is serving for him. I don't know the guy, but that's how it feels to me when I listen to to that story is like, if she voices a need for reassurance or for anything, he's like just nowhere to be found. If she wants to see him and he's busy, he doesn't make the time. But he doesn't let her go either, because there's some convenience in having somebody there who is wonderful to you and cares about you and checks in on you and is there if you're having a bad day or whatever it might be. Like you can get that kind of connection piece met without any of the strings attached. And it's probably no coincidence that the long distance has probably kept this alive far longer than it would have if you were actually in the same city and he was having to show up and couldn't hide behind the distance. And the only reason I say this is because I would hate for you, Therese, to blame yourself and feel like you're going crazy trying to understand why this person is behaving in a certain way. Sometimes, you know, whether or not they're a good or a bad person is neither here nor there, but sometimes there is a level of kind of being treated like an option, a commodity versus a priority. And, you know, none of us should settle for that.
I think it can be helpful to imagine something else that a person might do in their life that falls into this kind of category that you're talking about, Audrey, which to me is like video games.
Okay.
If someone...
Continue.
Let's say he likes video games. He can choose when to go and engage with video games. He can work all week, pay no attention to them, and then Friday evening comes around and he's like, oh, I've got a minute. I got a couple of hours. Let me go play this game. And he enjoys playing the game. Right? It gives him something, it gives him dopamine, it gives him satisfaction, it gives him some reward. So he enjoys playing it while he's playing it. But then he puts it down, and when he puts it down, he gets on with the rest of his life. And that relationship works because the game asks nothing of him when he's not playing it. He can just go and play that game on his terms when he wants.
Oof.
And Therese, you have to start looking at it like you're his video game. Like no needs. You are there for his enjoyment. You are there for his satisfaction. You're there for his entertainment or reassurance in the case of a relationship, or
Company,
empathy, all the things you give him, right? But this doesn't not work because you have the wrong needs or because your needs are too excessive or too demanding. This doesn't work because you have needs. And for him, any needs that you have are too many because you're the video game. You're not supposed to have needs.
that really hit me. That hit me right there.
We're going to continue to unpack this, and I have a model that I want to give everyone to go away with from this episode. Before we do, a word from our sponsors. Hello. It's me again. We have no sponsors. It's just Matthew Hussey. Every Friday, I send out a private email to everyone who is on my mailing list, the 3 relationships. This is an email that I take a significant amount of time to write each week. I really found that during the book writing process, I enjoyed sitting there and crafting something that I knew would be both entertaining and helpful to people. And I know that the book, Love Life, has resonated with so many of you. And it's been really beautiful to see how many of you have really enjoyed my style of writing. If you have enjoyed that and you're like, I finished the book already. I like, you know, that
feeling you get when you get to the end of a season of a TV show and you're like, so when are they making season 2? And you wish that season 2 was available right now, but you know it's not going to be available for like 2 years. Well, the nice thing about this is if you got to the end of Love Life, my new book, and you want the next book already, well, I'm literally writing to you new material every single week. So you're never more than 7 days away from getting a new piece of writing from me. You can sign up to this. It's completely free at the3relationships.com. That's the number 3, relationships.com. Check it out. It's super valuable. People are really enjoying it. I now get hundreds of emails back every single week from people reading this. There's many, many, many hundreds of thousands of people who receive this, but I'm literally getting hundreds of personal emails every week from people who are reading it and enjoying it. And I'm reading all of the responses, even if I can't reply to all of them. So check it out at the3relationships.com. Sign up and I will deliver my next email direct to your inbox this Friday. Quick note as well for anyone who has not taken our free masterclass, Dating with Results. This is our most popular free masterclass of all time at this point. We have had over 1 million people who have now watched Dating with Results. It is for anyone who is struggling to navigate modern dating, for anyone who is sick and tired of situationships, flaky people, time wasters, people who just want to use you and then drop you for the next person, strange people that you meet through dating apps that you're like, really? This is what's on offer today? This is what I'm up against? For anyone who is serious about getting out of the dating swamp and finding real and lasting love with a great human being, Dating with Results is the foundation of starting a productive path in your love life. Go to datingwithresults.com to get it for free right now. You can literally be watching it minutes from now. And don't forget to let us know what you think. podcast@matthewhussey.com. Imagine that in any relationship with someone, with another human being, there are 3 things that can change. There's your standards, their behavior, or the status of the relationship itself. Any of those 3 can change at any time. Your standards, their behavior, or the status of the relationship. Your standards are the behaviors you're willing to accept from someone. Their behavior relates to how they treat you. And the status of the relationship is about whether you choose to be with them or not. Or in the case of friendships or family, the degree to which you choose to have that person in your life or close to you. Because whereas in romantic relationships, it tends to be more, you're either in or you're out. In other kinds of relationships, there might be degrees of closeness that you accept. Now, if any one of those 3 can change, you have to decide which one is going to change. In Therese's situation, she has tried to change her standards from what they used to be by raising them, because his behavior is not working for her. She tried to say, here's what I want. And he's basically made her afraid to say anything, afraid to speak up, feel like she's asking too much, she's an inconvenience, she's an obligation, so that his behavior can remain the same. Right? Because when someone doesn't want to change their behavior, what they'll try to do is shame you for your standards.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what he's done. Now, what Therese has shown is that she is not willing to change the status of the relationship. She's not willing to go from this long distance situation, because is it a relationship? It doesn't sound like they're exclusive to me. It sounds like she has assumed that they're exclusive, even though they've never had the conversation. But let's just call it a relationship. This relationship is one that she does not want to let go of. But his behavior also isn't changing. So which one of the three has to change? Her standards. Because if the behavior won't change and you're unwilling to change the status of the relationship, then your standards have to change. Okay? One of the three has to be pliable.
But it sounds like Therese would say to that, I have changed my standards, right?
In theory, but not in reality. Therese has started to understand the concept of standards, is starting to connect with the idea that maybe she should want more, but in reality, she is not demanding more. Because if she was, and his behavior didn't change, which it's not, the status of the relationship would have to change. When someone realizes that your standards are malleable, then their behavior will not be. Their behavior will remain the same. It's like if you break up with someone and they keep coming back to you. You are never going to be scared because you realize they keep bouncing back anyway. So you realize my behavior towards them never has to change because they don't actually have standards. I broke up with them and yet they're still staying in contact with me. They keep coming back to me. They keep reaching out. We keep hooking up. So in a sense, I'm learning, I don't have to change anything because their standards are pliable. I can change them. In any situation, one of these three things can change. We have to decide which one it is. Now, there may be some areas of relationships where their behavior doesn't change and we don't want to lose the relationship, but the behavior that we don't like is not actually that bad. It's not even that important. And so our standard around that thing changes. We say, screw it. It's not a big deal. I can live with that one. So in that case, our standard does change, and sometimes for the better. Sometimes that allows us to have a harmonious relationship because we say there are things that are worth caring about and things that are not worth caring about. But what we have to ask is, can my standards change in this area? And I keep the relationship status the same, i.e. we stay together, and I remain happy, or I be happy. And the answer in Therese's case, I would say, is categorically no. The areas of his behavior that he's unwilling to bend on are areas that are going to cause you misery for a lifetime.
So what should she do? Because I'm assuming the reason she hasn't said, these are my standards and this is what I expect, is that she's afraid that...
She's unwilling to change number 3.
Exactly. So
the status of the relationship.
I understand why she feels trapped.
She feels trapped because of the rules that she's set up. If we become willing and capable of changing a different variable than the ones we've tried to change in the past, all of a sudden our options open up again. She's unwilling to have hard conversations because she's trying to keep number 3 the same, the relationship. So his behavior is not changing. That's the one thing that's not budging, right? And because of that, her standards are having to change. By the way, what's proven in everything that Therese has said is that's the one thing that she is willing to change, is her standards.
Yeah.
He's not willing to change his behavior, She's not willing to change the status of the relationship, but she is willing to change her standards.
So what should she do?
Become willing to change the status of the relationship. Become
It's so hard though. Like, I agree with you, but that's so hard in practice when you're attached and invested and, you know, you love someone, and it's hard.
Yes.
How do you generate a big enough why that you can actually be brave enough to risk it all? Whether that's through changing your standards and therefore pushing them away, or whether that's through just saying, I'm not putting up with this anymore. Like, which is kind of the same thing. Like, how do you get yourself there if you haven't been able to get yourself there in a year?
That is a giant question. It's a giant, like, that's a 6-day retreat question.
Yeah.
Because it's in part connecting to what the much bigger thing that we're going to lose if we stay, right? And that's those answers are personal.
Yeah.
But there are always much bigger things that we'll lose if we stay than what we gain if we stay. And whatever is our fear is going to happen if we leave is, like, certainly in Therese's case, the fear of what happens if she lets go is the actual reality of that is nothing compared to what she should be afraid of if she stays. But right now, Therese isn't connecting to that pain. She's only connected to the pain that's right in front of her face.
I think she's in survival mode as well. I think she's trying to live day by day. The goal every single day is to try and feel safe and closer to this person because they don't make her feel safe and close. And she's almost, a good day is a day where that happened or she got closer to that. And because she's living day by day in that kind of a way, she doesn't have time or space to be thinking about everything else.
And so that brings us nicely onto another big feature of that fear and where it's coming from, which is trying to derive a sense of safety from something that is inherently unsafe. And that is a game that she will never win. That Therese, right now, you are literally playing an unwinnable game. You are not crazy. There is nothing wrong with you. You might have some trauma from the past, or you might have some wiring in your body that predisposes you to this kind of dynamic, but that can shift.
We all have something.
We all have that in one form or another. But what you're feeling, the anxiety you're feeling, the fear that you're feeling, the way this is monopolizing your energy and your thoughts, you're not crazy. Those are appropriate things to feel when you're playing an unwinnable game. Which is, I am trying to derive a sense of safety and security and comfort from a situation that is fundamentally unsafe. And for as long as you do that, you're going to feel like this. So the why, as you put it, Audrey, is that there has to be a greater sense of, you have to become more afraid of something else. You're afraid to lose this person. What are you more afraid of? And you have to have a really good answer to that.
Yeah.
And the second part of it is, we have to get out of survival mode. We have to start realizing why we're in survival mode in the first place. It's because we are trying to derive safety in an unsafe situation. And therefore, because that's unwinnable, this relationship has now become a chronic stressor in your life.
and you're now trying to figure out how to lower your chronic stress, thinking that if I could just get them to give me a little more, if I could just get them to make a plan with me, if I could just get them to show me some empathy or some love, then I wouldn't be so stressed about this. Not realizing that the game you're playing in even being in relationship to this person, not with, the game you're playing at trying to be in relationship to this person is a form of chronic, that is the source of your chronic stress. And that will change when you start saying, my certainty, my safety has to come from something that actually is fundamentally secure, that is fundamentally safe. And we can take a whole other episode to talk about that. But if you want to do that work with us, by the way, that is what we're doing in September on the retreat. If you want to transform your confidence, pick a new target for your certainty and lean into that, and pick a target that actually is safe. And we will show you how to do that in September. mhretreat.com. I wasn't even planning on saying it here, but just for anyone who wants to do that work on the deepest level with us, mhretreat.com is where you will find that program this year in September if you want to join us.
You literally have said so many mic drop things. There are like 5 mics on the floor right now. You've said so many things in this episode that I think are going to be so valuable to so many people.
Well,
so thank you,
Audrey. And tell us what resonated with you. podcast@matthewhussey.com. The reason this email ended up on this episode was because someone sent us an email. podcast@matthewhussey.com. You can do the same. Send us an email, even if it's just a couple of lines about what the podcast means to you. It also energizes us to read these emails because we know that there are real people out there. It's not just numbers on a screen for how many listener downloads we get per episode. We know that there are real people out there listening. I also think, by the way, it would be really fun to play a couple of answer phone messages.
Voice notes.
With practically speaking, they're going to be voice notes, but I want to almost play them as if someone's left an answer phone message for us. Just telling us what the show means to you, or, it could be a question if it's not too long, if it's 20 to 30 seconds or less. It could be just, telling us something you liked on the podcast recently, but leave us a little message. You can literally do a voice memo on your phone and send it to podcast@matthewhussey.com.
And thank you so much, Therese, for sending in your question, for being vulnerable and open and honest. I think it was very honest the way that you wrote it. So thank you. And we hope that this was helpful for you in your situation.
And we're glad we make you laugh. You sound like such a fun person. I hope we get to meet in one of our events sometime. Hopefully not too far from now, we'll end up doing another event in Australia, because Australia has been, some of our favorite events have been in Australia. The crowds there are incredible. I love spending time with you guys over there. So, shout out to Therese and everyone in Australia who is listening. By the way, public service announcement for every Love Life member out there right now. We have live events coming to the cities of London in July, Los Angeles in October, and New York in December. If you are one of our Love Life members, you can come to those events. If you're not a Love Life member, you can still become a Love Life member so that you can attend those events. These are going to be very intimate. I mean, the kind of events we don't even do these days anymore, 100 people. So come join us. You can go to lovelifeclub.com if you want to become a member. You won't just get access to these events, of course. You'll also get access to masterclasses and experts and live sessions with me every month, including live sessions with my brother Stephen, Audrey, and a whole suite of other tools that can help you in your love life this year. Go to lovelifeclub.com to become a member. And for all existing members, don't forget to register for one of our live in-person meetups this year. Thanks everyone. Be well and love life.